Hi y'all, this is Larry at Deep South, Texas. It's September 22nd and today we're going to plant some onion seeds and some other onions and shallots, and we're going to have fun. Now, that's about 3 weeks earlier than I normally plant, but I've got a lot of empty raised beds right now and I want to get something growing, and so we're going to give it a try. The onion seeds I'm going to plant are seeds that I saved from onions that I grew last year, specifically for seed. So we got quite a few seeds in here. I don't know what the germination rate is, so I'm going to plant them all. I've got one raised bed ready to go for that. Let's go take a look at that. So this will be the bed that I'm planting my onion seeds in this year. I've already amended the bed with about 6 ounces of triple 13 fertilizer. I've also put in about 1/3 of a bale of peat moss and about 8 ounces of agricultural lime. Got that all mixed up, fairly soft bed. And then what I'm going to do is just sprinkle my seeds on top. But before I do that, I want to make sure that the bed is damp. So we're going to water it down. Make sure that the whole surface of the bed is wet. Try to get those seeds off to a good start. Now I've got drip irrigation in here so that once these seeds start putting out roots, they'll be able to find water. But in order to get them to germinate, we need to keep them moist for the next week or so. So we start by getting the bottom wet. And then we'll just sprinkle our seeds as evenly as possible. And this is the hardest part here. Over the top of the soil. They always get too close together. But you can come back and move them around once they've grown a few inches. I'm not really good at that either, but let's get these seeds all dropped onto the raised bed. Now that all the seeds have been scattered, I'm going to cover them with this Miracle Grow seed starting mix. It keeps the seeds in place and keeps them moist while they're sprouting. So I'm just going to gently cover the seeds with this mix. Make sure the seeds stay in place. So the seeds have been scattered. They've been covered up by this seed starting mix. They're not very deep, you know, probably about 1/4 of an inch. And now we're just going to add more water to make sure that that seed starting mix is wet. Now I'll come out and water this every day for the next week or two until the seeds have sprouted. And in the meantime, I'm going to cover it with a cattle panel just to keep critters from getting in here and digging in the soil and digging up my seeds. So I've done it this way for several years and seems to work okay. I may be starting them a little bit early this year. It may be still a little bit too warm, but if they don't sprout because it's too hot, I've got other seeds that I can replace them with. I don't have any of the other seeds that I harvested, but I have other seeds I could put in. So that's good for the onion seeds. Now we're going to plant some small onion bulbs that I saved from the onions I grew last year. And got another spot picked out for those. So if you grow your own onions, you know that you'll end up with a lot of onions that are pretty small. And they're really too much trouble to use, but they work pretty good if you replant them. And they don't necessarily grow big bulbed onions, although some of them will, but sometimes they go to seed, and that's kind of nice. So I've got this bed here that I planted had the sweet potatoes planted in, this half of a raised bed. And I'm just going to set these small onions in here, and they should take off. That one feels a little bit rotten. We won't use that one. And this is just a mix of onions, mainly a lot of red ones, because the red ones really didn't get very big for me last year, so I got quite a few of those. And we'll just set these in the bed. And see what they do. I did this last year to grow some, for some to grow to set on seeds, and several of them did, but not all of them. And some of the ones that didn't produced fairly nice onions pretty early in the year. So like in December and January, or in January at least, I had onions that were large enough to cook with, which was pretty nice, because the onion seeds I just planted right now, they won't be ready till, I don't know, May. May. So having onions available in January was pretty nice. So about a month ago, I bought some shallots at the grocery store, and I really like shallots, but they're kind of expensive. So I'm going to try to grow some and see how they do. Now I've tried to grow these before, but I really wasn't successful. I didn't have them planted in a raised bed. They were planted directly in the ground, and I think it got too wet for them. So hopefully they'll do better. So these need to be planted a little bit deeper than the onions. I'm going to cover these onion bulbs and shallots with a layer of garden soil. So this isn't a seed starting mix, this is just garden soil. I like using it because it seems to be totally weed free, and if you put it on the top of your raised bed. Weeds don't seem to grow up through it, at least for a while. So it'll help these onions get going, and it's got a little bit of fertilizer in it. And also lower the amount of weeding that I have to do. It's it's cheaper than the seed starting mix as well. So we'll get this all put on. A little heavier on the shallots, I think. So I covered the onion sets and the shallots, and then I gave them a drink of water. So they're set to go. And the onion seeds I have planted in this bed. Like I say, that's seed I saved. We'll see how the germination goes on those. But pretty exciting here at the end of December. We still have plenty going on in the garden. Let's go take a look at least take a look at the bananas. So as of last week, the banana flower was just starting to open up. And now we have bunches of bananas growing. Now the bananas started coming out pretty small, so I have cut off the banana flower. I see online that you can chop this up and eat it as a salad, but I probably won't do that this year. But as you can see, we have lots of bunches of bananas growing. More than enough for this one small tree. Still waiting for the other two trees to flower. I don't think it'll be too long. The sweet corn my wife replanted is doing fine. The sweet corn from the original planting is doing good. I side dressed these with some fertilizer this week, and looks like they're growing. The broccoli we have growing under the shade cloth is doing well. There may be one cabbage there. The other two cabbages didn't do very good, but that one's still kicking. And planted a couple tomatoes. We'll see how they do in the fall. And this bed has some zucchini planted in it. It's looking good. And then another hill. This was yellow squash, but they just came up. I'm not sure if the yellow squash came up or my wife replanted zucchini in here, but they're just coming up. So still a lot going on in the garden here in September, deep South Texas. The next event will be planting my cabbages, or starting the seeds for my cabbages and broccoli. Start those around the 1st of October and get them planted out about the 1st of November. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it that big thumbs up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.